Afghanistan. Then another agreement which also became very famous, that was the Sararoga agreement, and it was done with Baitullah Masood. Both parties in the agreement, the government and the militant, agreed on these points, that army will evacuate tribal territories, the Taliban will not attack the army, foreign militants will not get protection, the army will not conduct operation against the Taliban if they agree to completion of the development work in the area. This is Baitullah Masood, who himself signed the peace deal at Sararoga. Sararoga is a town in South Waziristan, and that's why it became Sararoga Peace Agreement. After the deal, there was a relative peace for a while. But Taliban, after the peace deal, local journalists in the Waziristan region, they reported that the Taliban established their offices in different parts of Waziristan, started new recruitment drive, implemented a very strict version of Sharia in the region. In fact, they converted Waziristan like in a mini Taliban state that time. Harsh steps were taken against criminals and other people. Again, both sides started in the Shakya agreement when it was terminated. So the government accused Taliban militants for violating the deal, and similarly this time again, both sides started accusing each other of violation of the peace deal. In September 2006, another peace deal was struck by the Pakistani government with the Taliban militants, and it was with the tribal elders. The chief architect of this deal was the then governor of Frontier Province, Ali Jan Aurangzeb, and he called it a historic moment when the deal was signed. When the Red Mosque operation started in Pakistan in 2007, Taliban announced end of the agreement by circulating statement in Waziristan, accusing government of establishing checkposts in the region. When the Red Mosque operation started in Islamabad, in the capital of Pakistan, so Pakistan army started a kind of movement in Waziristan, and they established some of the checkposts which they had where they had withdrawn some of their troops as part of the deal in 2006. The Taliban militants accused government saying it is violation of the deal, and that's why they announced a termination of the deal. This is now the Swat peace deal. Actually, in Waziristan and those areas, there were some 14-15 deals in different parts, but the one which I just mentioned, there are the main deals between the Taliban militants and the government. In Swat, it's like the similar story. The first deal was struck in May 2007 between the six parties alliance, religious alliance of Muttahida Majlis Amal and TNSM, but it was in fact with Maulana Fazlullah. And it happened because there were some concern among the local people because of the FM broadcast by Maulana Fazlullah, and when this concern reached to Islamabad and Peshawar, so that time the religious alliance, the six parties religious alliance, it was in power in Peshawar, and it started a kind of negotiation with Fazlullah, and it said actually they are dealing with the TNSM, which is a movement which Rodney mentioned. It's for the implementation of Sharia in the Swat and Malakand region. It signed a deal there with the TNSM and basically with Maulana Fazlullah. That time there was a commissioner who actually mediated the peace deal, and that commissioner is nowadays he is under very close. I mean, some people say he has already been arrested because he's missing, and he is accused of having sympathies with the Taliban militants, particularly with Fazlullah and his group. So this was and And the main point in this deal was because, like I mentioned, it was because of the FM broadcast by the Taliban cleric Maulana Fazlullah. However, as part of the deal, he was let to go with his FM broadcast in the area. And the MMA ministers in Peshawar, they were telling to the media people that actually he will be broadcasting, but he will not talk about jihad and inciting people, which was not true. Actually, there was no content of controlling the control of contents of the Fazlullah FM broadcast. During that Sawat first deal, Maulana Fazlullah agreed to close down all training facilities for militants and military to support the polio vaccination. Actually, he was opposing the polio vaccination by his FM channels, and he was telling to the people that it is a conspiracy by the West, and particularly of the United States, to infertile the male segment of the society. So he, during this agreement, he agreed that he will support the polio vaccination drive. He also agreed to support the administration and the law and order situation. And surprisingly, like I mentioned, government agreed to let Fazlullah's continue his FM broadcast. In 2007 November, Pakistan Army deployed troops. The central government actually deployed troops in the Sawat region, and the provincial government of MMA called it the violation of peace deal between them and the TNSM Fazlullah. Military operation was launched against Fazlullah, and the deal came to end. That was the time when the then President Pervez Musharraf also imposed the state of emergency, and he also cited Sawat, the insurgency, the situation in Sawat, as one of the reasons for imposing emergency in his televised speech to the nation. Then in 2008, the new government came in the frontier province of the secular Awami National Party, and it started new peace initiative in the region. They appointed the provincial president of the party, Afrasiab Khatak, as a peace envoy. It was a new position in the government machinery there. And the first thing they did, they released Sufi Muhammad, the TNSM leader, who took some close to 10,000 people to Afghanistan during after the 9/11, and he led these people to fight along Taliban against the US-led NATO forces there. When he was returning back, he was arrested by the Pakistani authorities, and he was put behind the bars. His views are very strict, very harsh, and even he didn't try to approach the court because he believed the Pakistani courts and the judicial system, it is not Islamic, and that's why he thought it's futile to go and approach an un-Islamic court for his release. However, the ANP government started this peace initiative, and the first thing they did, they released him, and they signed a kind of agreement with the TNSM, which the Sufi Muhammad is its leader. And then that agreement was again terminated after some time, and then we had this very much talk about agreement in February this year, in which the government agreed to some of the demands of the militants in the area. Sufi Muhammad was the main broker of this deal in Sawat, and he mediated the deal between the government and the Taliban militants, which were led by his son-in-law Maulana Fazlullah in the area. Now, the main point from the government side was how to disarm the Sawat militants. And Maulana Sufi Muhammad took this responsibility. He said he's going to ask the Taliban militants to lay down their arms. And but even that time, suspicion were raised that how Sufi Muhammad can do this job, because many people thought like now he is more a symbolic leader. He doesn't had that much influence on the local people.